Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, the number one source for news, analysis, and discussion on the Detroit Red Wings, the NHL, and all things hockey. Here are your hosts, Ryan Hanna, Brad Crisco, and Evan Lopsinger.
It's not usually the case where the first preseason game is so genuinely exciting, and it's not even like it's not fully like a joke or a bit. You know, we often at this point of the year are like, oh yeah, let's call the Art Ross or the Hart Trophy for this random rookie now, because I mean nothing can go wrong. There's no points on the board yet. You can't say the Red Wings suck. You can't say anything has actually happened. But this is like a real thing. The Emmitt Finnie hype train is actually starting to build up real steam. And the reason that's actually happening after the first preseason game is because the hockey gods looked at what's happening in Detroit at Comerica Park, and they're like, oh God, the Tigers are just imploding.
Weren't they the best team in baseball at one point?
Sure were, Evan.
What are they now?
Blown a, 15.5 game?
Yeah, 15.5 game lead.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like 15.5 games is almost like unheard of. Like that's a monumental, that's a Toronto Maple Leaf level of collapse.
I think I did see something. It's literally unprecedented.
Do you remember last year when they made the playoffs after being a 0.2% chance to make it?
They're doing the inverse?
It's almost, I think, mathematically the inverse.
How many games are left to the playoffs?
I'm too scared to look at this point. I kept a pulse on things while I was away on vacation, but more like Red Wings and hockey, obviously. I wasn't glued to sports. I was enjoying my holiday with my wife. And then every few days I'd check in and I'd be like, what's happening? Like, how have they lost 5 more games in 3 days? Anyways, thank you, hockey gods, for Emmitt Finnie, because that's been a nice distraction. After watching what Scooble did yesterday, I'm like, no, force is bigger than just baseball players are at work here.
Well, it was a good snap. The quarterback was just in a bad position.
Scooble killed a man.
Oh my God. The whole time I was wearing this Tiger shirt through airports too. And I was like, I must look like such a buffoon. Anyways.
Back to FINSANITY.
FINSANITY. I have to give credit to the Twitter user who posted that. I'll find their name in a second. I did actually ask, I was like, please can we use this for an episode title? I don't know that they answered yet. I'm breaking my personal rule here. That just goes so hard we have to use it. Emmitt Finnie, game of his life, and it's a preseason game. And we're talking about a 7th round pick who wouldn't have been top 5 on most people's rookies to watch for this Red Wings preseason. And he's the title name in an all caps episode.
Not just a 7th round pick, only 2 years ago.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Folks, welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, here to talk to you about all things Detroit Red Wings hockey, the world of the NHL, and lots more. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
And I'm Evan.
On this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we're going to be talking about Detroit's first preseason game and why there's actually a lot of notable takeaways from it. What's coming up for the Red Wings, Emmitt Finnie's actual chances of making this team. We're going to dive a little bit more into that because obviously it's a conversation that's going to continue, and everything else to do with the Red Wings. And then this is our first division preview. So we are going to jump into our Pacific Division discussion, predictions, rankings, and more, and whatever else we get to before overtime. Very quickly here, Winged Wheel Podcast Night at the LCA in partnership with the Detroit Red Wings. I think this is our 9th go around, is on Saturday, November 15th. It's the game against the Buffalo Sabres. If you've not been to a Winged Wheel Podcast Night at the LCA, what you do is you go to wingedwheelpodcast.com/Red Wings or the link in the description. You get your tickets, and those are game tickets. So you go to the game, but it also gets you access to the pregame live recording of the Winged Wheel Podcast at Little Caesars Arena. It's going to feature Red Wings lead announcer Ken Daniels and other special guests. Your ticket is actually discounted, and it comes with a piece of officially licensed Detroit Red Wings and Winged Wheel Podcast co-branded merch. It is a sweet blanket with the Red Wings Centennial logo and our 10th anniversary logo. It's an awesome, awesome design, and I love to throw back the red and the cream. Every ticket purchase also represents a donation to the Jamie Daniels Foundation. You get an opportunity with a meet and greet with Ken Daniels and us, which are less important, merch, giveaways, all that and lots more. So again, wingedwheelpodcast.com/Red Wings. Also, later on in January, Saturday, January 17th, Winged Wheel Podcast Night at Van Andel Arena in partnership with the Grand Rapids Griffins. GriffinsHockey.com/WWP. The co-branded piece of merch, it's a Griffins and Winged Wheel Podcast co-branded puck that's going to be signed by a random Grand Rapids Griffins player. Pre-game live recording of the podcast as well, featuring Grand Rapids Griffins players, coaches, all that more. I got to get out of this read because these guys are laughing at me. I'm not even going to try to salvage this one. GriffinsHockey.com/WWP. Links are in the description. This is
you're gonna have to do a live ad read, and then I'm gonna have to read the Patreon names at these events.
Do you guys like knowing, like 5 minutes in, that you're in for it this episode?
This is gonna be a real Purple Heart type episode, I think.
Not by me. It's gonna be by you two. All right, let's get into a preseason game that's actually exciting. The Red Wings and the Blackhawks kicked off preseason, and Detroit won a 3-2 game at Little Caesars Arena. And this wasn't Detroit's, A squad. They didn't send out the Larkins and the Raymonds and the deciders. They went with the players who are mostly competing for spots here to, fight for the few roster openings that there are. I think JT Compher was one of the only real bolt-on regulars that was in this lineup. And I mean, not that it's a bad thing when you see that, but fans sometimes want to write it off because they're like, oh, well, it'll be less exciting, or you're not going to see most of these guys in season. But it was a really cool look at a bunch of the different Red Wings rookies or hopeful rookies. We have to start with Emmitt Finnie, though. What a game he had, and multiple highlight reel plays, and just a continuation of the excitement that's been there really since he's been drafted.
McLellan with Finnie talked a lot about guys riding the brake, but he's one of the guys who's hammering the gas through it. There's a lot of moments we can take away from this game with Finnie and point to. This was great. That's awesome. This is great, because he had a phenomenal game all around. He really showed his tenacity, his speed, his creativity, his hockey IQ. He was on a line with Nate Danielson and Michael Brandsegg-Nygard, 2 first-round picks, and he did not look out of their class. He was right there with them and everything they do. And I should point out, all 3 of them played great. That was Detroit's best line. And I know it's easy to look at a play where a guy makes a between the legs pass and go, oh yeah, obviously he's good. But I want to highlight just really what happened there, because you have a 7th round pick, only 2 years removed, in preseason, his first preseason game of the year with the Red Wings. This is a moment where anybody who's not an NHL regular is mostly doing what McLellan talked about. They're riding the brake a little bit. They are so concerned with not making mistakes that they don't do anything cool. That play is a real good look into Emmitt Finnie's mindset. He has the confidence to try that in a preseason NHL game where he's trying to make the team. Because you got to look at the inverse of that play. Imagine if you're a rookie going into that camp, you're on a power play, you get the puck in a dangerous area, you put it between your legs, it hits the tape of the other team, and it's an easy clear. Those are the types of plays that get you off the team in a hurry. But for him to be so sure of himself and so sure of the play that he sees unfolding, I'd say in front of him, in this case behind him, that he is just totally confident and totally comfortable to make that play. It's really telling that McLellan wasn't lying. This guy is all gas, no brakes right now, and if he doesn't make the team, he's going to go down swinging.
Does it remind you a little bit of Nate Danielson's first training camp in preseason, where there's no expectation for him to make the team, right? He was just drafted. There wasn't really the roster spot for him, and he was a kid who needed to kind of fill out and really learn the game, especially with the style that he played. And he had such a phenomenal preseason that we were like, yeah, the Red Wings this year suck, and he is one of the 12 best forwards right now, and you could put him on the roster and he wouldn't look more out of place than anyone else. Now, they did the right thing and sent him down, and it was good for his development. But I kind of imagine Danielson went into that preseason with a little bit of, yeah, there's no real pressure. I'm not expected to, and the coach is telling me to do X, Y, and Z, so why would I do anything else? I almost feel like that may be the case, like what you said. Finnie's not riding the brakes, and he is just going balls to the wall and showing off everything he has. And it's not like he's taking stupid risks or anything, but he's going out there and making the plays that could end up in mistakes and costly mistakes, like you mentioned, Brad. But instead, he's just, it's a fearless approach where there's really nothing to lose for him at this point. I draw those parallels. It's got the same vibe to me.
And I mean, it's only a red and white game and one preseason game. I couldn't even tell you who the Blackhawks had dressed, whether or not I'd say it was their NHL team or their AHL team. But both versions are AHL teams, so it doesn't make a difference.
I'll tell you, they had Bedard, though.
They did have Bedard. But as the preseason goes on and as teams start to play their vets and their stars a little more, it's going to get tougher for Finnie. Like, as great as he is, I don't think there's Vegas betting odds on this type of thing. He's probably still a long shot to make the team. Realistically. Because the odds of him what does Detroit play? 17 preseason games? The odds of him keeping this up for another 6 weeks are pretty low.
Can you imagine he has 18 goals in the preseason? They're like, I don't know.
If the preseason was actually 6 weeks long, I don't even think we'd be doing this podcast.
No, we'd still be doing one a week.
Yeah.
It feels like, because don't they legit have like 7 games left?
It's quite a bit. I'm very happy this is the last year.
Yeah, stupid. But the games are going to get tougher. And it's one thing to do it against an AHL team. It's another thing to do it against the Chicago Blackhawks. But again, you can only react on what you've seen. And every step of the way of the guys who weren't NHL regulars last year, this is the guy who has stepped up, grabbed the reins and said, all right, I'm going to take that spot. Now, that's not to say other guys have been playing bad. Like I said, Danielson and Brandsegg-Nygard also played great. But if you take the totality of camp, the red and white game in this, if any of the rookies are to make the team, Finnie's the clubhouse leader, which again, with the context of it all, is insane. A lot of time for it to change, but I can't even believe we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is quite incredible that we're talking about a 7th round pick, because gun to the earth, if you told me who the last pick of the Red Wings draft that was this year, there's no chance I could tell you. That's more of an indictment on my brain than that prospect.
Although you now have the dad brain excuse. You didn't for the first 9 years of this podcast.
That's true.
I should say 10, but
that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only thing is after that game, I was like, yeah, the Finnie hype train has left the station. Like, it is starting to move off the rocket ship pad and heading towards the moon. Like, but the other thing is, if him, Danielson, and MBN all get sent down, that is a makings of an incredible line for Grand Rapids. So I'd be extremely thrilled to see how that plays out. I don't know. I'm fired up just like everybody else. It would be pretty wild to me if Emmitt Finnie, out of the pool of potential prospects who could make this team, is the one who does it. Because I could still see them saying he's a year younger than whoever, Danielson or whoever. We need to do them first. We need to graduate them first, progress them first, give Finnie a season, a full season in Grand Rapids. So I don't know where I fall on, would it be a crazy story? Yeah, absolutely. Should he be the guy to come up, even if he has the best camp? I'm still not totally convinced that that's the approach that should be taken.
That 2023 draft for the Red Wings, man, that could be one of those ones that goes down in lore as it stands right now. You get Danielson 9th overall, looks great. You get Sandin Pelech at 17. And then, oh, by the way, your 7th round picks playing better than both of them right now.
You have Trey Augustine, who
Augustine too. Oh my God.
Don't count out Rudy in that as well, who is a 6th round pick. Like,
everybody points to Dallas in their 2017 draft where they got their franchise forward, Jason Robertson, franchise defenseman Haskin, and their franchise goalie Ottinger. I don't see Finnie or Danielson being a franchise forward here, but like if they're both good top 6, top 9 forwards, and then you get Sandin Pelech, your power play QB1, and then if Augustine is the guy, like that does change the dynamic of a lot of things long term.
And all of this is secondary to the fact that that's the Brady Cleveland draft. So that's going to be the headline. It'd be hard to knock the title off that. Finnie's, you mentioned, Chicago's roster, and I was saying Connor Bedard. McLellan said in Max's piece, actually, he wrote a recap, and I'll link it in the description as I always do, but McLellan said he wants to see Emmitt Finnie against Connor Bedard. Let's focus on that for a second. Like, what a jolt of confidence that must be for that kid to say, yeah, I want to come in here and do my best. I'm a long shot in this camp. And then by the time the first preseason game comes around, the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings is saying, yeah, I want to see you specifically and how you fare against Connor Bedard. And then he goes out there and takes the puck off Connor Bedard's stick, makes a ton of great plays all game, but takes the puck off Connor Bedard, works hard, does a lot of things right up the ice, and ends up scoring the game-winning goal. What an unbelievable dream result. Like, the stakes are low. Again, it's a preseason game. No one's lifting the cup here. There's no... Don't get it twisted, but at the same time, that's about as dream of a result for a preseason game as Emmitt Finnie could have hoped for.
Remember when Connor Bedard said Nate Danielson was the hardest player he had to play against in the WHL? Then he just gets absolutely destroyed in a preseason game by Nate Danielson and company again.
You almost want to be in the same conference as Chicago again just to see that keep happening. Oh, man.
Well, there's the 5 points we need to make up to get in the playoffs.
Right there, yeah. Emmitt Finnie is worth about a dozen on his
I was just saying 3 games against Chicago.
Oh. I still, small aside here, but there's so many people writing off Connor Bedard, and I'm like, Chicago has like the loser stink on them still. Like I know how that sounds coming from someone who hosts a Detroit Red Wings podcast, but that's exactly why we can recognize it.
Stinky people recognize stinky people.
That's right, and we smell. It's taken a long time to get rid of the stink. So Carter Mazur actually scored the first goal of the game, and I thought he looked good as well. He looks just more confident, stronger on his feet out there, and I think it was nice for him to get that first goal, especially with how he went out. Now he scored that first goal off of that beautiful between the legs pass from Finnie, and then Danielson scored with a tip off a Wallinder shot. Brandsegg-Nygard also got an assist there, and then Nygard is the one who shot the puck where Finnie buried the rebound to score the game winner. So all in all, those three had a great game. Any other takeaways from game one of the preseason?
Costa looked all right.
Yeah, I thought he made some good saves. It was far from anything concerning. It's tough for goalies at this point, too.
Yeah, he didn't get a lot of action, and one of the goals he let in was a Connor Bedard one-timer, which, understandable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and he made a couple difficult saves. He looked good. Like, again, I wouldn't say he stole himself a job or anything there, but nothing to send up red flags. So, first game of a preseason, I'll take that as a win.
I also thought William Wallinder looked pretty solid. The shot he had that led to the Nate Danielson tip was like just a textbook, low on the ice, just get the puck to the net. He walked the line nice. It was really good. I actually thought Ian Mitchell, surprisingly unexpected, decent game from him. He made a nice pass to MBN that led to the Finnie goal.
Mm-hmm.
He's not an NHL rookie. He could be a guy looking for a depth spot on this team. So another interesting name to keep an eye on as the preseason rolls along.
I would love for that to be the solution to what the Red Wings have been talking about in their depth. Like a guy that was just written off by everyone, including us, as like, it's a depth organization signing. Come up in case of injury or down in Grand Rapids. And then it's just like, no, yeah, this was my place and I fit in great here. And I am now your bolt-on third pairing guy. That'd be cool.
If you have to beat out Justin Hall and Travis Hamonic to get that spot,
That was the whole Albert Johansson thing last year, right? It's like, you can't beat out those guys. He's not ready to do it. So yeah, that seventh defenseman spot's a real battle.
As far as having to compete for a spot goes, it legitimately does not get more basic than that. And like you said, that's about as clear of a litmus test as you can ask for. It's not ambiguous. Carter Bear, how do you feel about him as he continues to shake off the rust and play pro games?
Looked fine. I don't think he really stood out a whole lot during the game, but he looked comfortable getting to the dirty areas. He's an active player, and he was active this game. So I was just happy to see that coming off the injury didn't seem to put a leash on him. Like he was just, all right, and we're going.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell he's got first round skill to him. I thought he was really good in tight spaces, which at the NHL level, there's good. You can make a long career being a tight space type player.
Like bit of Marco Casper vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, first, I guess we'll call it pro game. I thought he looked completely fine given, where he's at with his game and his health.
Well, that was his first game in what, 6-7 months, something like that?
Yeah. It's for him, like not counting red and white. Yeah. First game against opponents. He's, barring something incredible happening here, he's going back to the CHL. And I just hope he gets as long of a run as possible in the preseason just to continue to kind of work through it and get better as you start to skate and get the feel for things again. Because it's going to happen because he's a rookie and this is his first NHL level preseason in camp. But also, like you said, Brad, no one comes off of half a year of not playing competitive games and is at 100%. So he would also continue to get better that way.
I don't know if this is a compliment, but I also thought Berggren had a pretty solid game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for his age and the volume of pro hockey he's played, he should likely I'll say dominate in air quotes, but be extremely noticeable every time he's on the ice, and I thought he was.
I think the social media team is going to really push to keep him on the roster this year.
Yes, he's hilarious.
He is such a dork.
Talking about in the last video how he bought a boat as pictures and everything, and then the next video they released, Gustin's is like, he didn't buy a boat. He's like, I bought half of a boat.
He's just like a prototypical goofball. Like it's not hard to see why he's a fan favorite. And like, I think anyone who's played hockey long enough, you've had a teammate like him, like just an absolute like shithead in the best way. And then when he's out on the ice, like we watched him in Grand Rapids, like when he was like the guy on the ice when he was out there, and just being a dork, but like in parentheses, antagonistically towards the other team, just getting them all riled up, starting a brawl, skating away, watching Edmonton beat the hell out of someone, gas them up in the dressing room. Like, I really do hope Berggren can make it stick in the NHL. He's a dork. He's our dork.
I saw competing thoughts, and I don't know where I landed after watching the game. What do you guys think of JT Compher?
Boy, am I.
I'm so very confused because at one point I'm like, yeah, he had a decent game, but given the context of the talent or lack thereof out there, I was like, maybe JT Compher should look like Connor McDavid out there. Some people thought he had a good game. Some people are like, he's going to be the whipping boy for this team this year. I don't know where I fall after, and maybe unfairly picking my mindset after one preseason game, but I'm wondering if I'm getting the JT Compher signed puck in Grand Rapids in January at this point. Sometimes some of what I've watched.
The times where you read something and it just clouds your bias, and every time you look at something, it's all you can see. Ever since that stupid stuff per 60 thing came out.
You can't shake that.
I can't, because every time I watch him, it's all I notice now. Like, Jay Fresh did a stupid thing where it's like he combined every stat in hockey, anything you can actually do on the ice, lumped it all together just to see who's the busiest player on the ice and who does, like, basically nothing. And Compher did the least by a substantial margin versus second last place. Now when I watch him play, he doesn't do anything. Like, which there's positives in that. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So there is a positive angle you can take on this. And he's, a cerebral player, and he's rarely out of position. But he doesn't do anything. Like, it's great that you're always in the right spots, but if you're never breaking up plays, never running a breakout, never making a pass, never throwing a hit, never getting a shot, like, that's a lot of money to be doing cardio.
I almost am tempted to give him a break right now, because it's got to be at least a little bit difficult for a bolt-on NHL player to find your groove when you're very clearly off your game for the past year in the preseason against like a weird level competition with weird level teammates. Not that like, oh, he's bad because he has bad line mates. He's playing with Bear and Berggren. So it's like it's not that his line mates aren't competent, but it's just like, it's not the normal fit. I don't know. I think I think you're both very right.
It's obviously TBD. Like, I'm not drawing any conclusions from one preseason game.
But at
I'm
best, TBD.
Yeah, I'm starting to think about it a little bit. And like Brad said, when you watch him on the ice, it's, you know what? You're there to be entertained, and I'm not sure that that's what I'm seeing.
Like, here's the way I'll put it best I can. Ignore money, role, development. Just in the name of trying to win hockey games for the next month. Who would you rather have as your fourth line center after everything we've seen last year and now earlier this year? Nate Danielson or JT Compher?
Is entertainment a factor in this?
Not really, no. Winning games. In the pure interest of we need the Detroit Red Wings to win hockey games.
I don't know that I'm able to answer it with the level of objectivity that you're asking for. And so I'll do the best I can, and I'll say Nate Danielson.
I was hoping you would say Compher, because I just wanted to point out the fact that that's even a conversation is a problem. Because if Nate Danielson's coming in to take a spot, JT Compher should not be in consideration for whose spot he takes. And realistically, I say this all, I'm sure management, coaching, he is not in any doubt. Like, he is going to be on the team.
Yeah.
But
it makes the reason why I first started thinking about this yesterday was because when you looked at the lineup, it was basically, I'll say, bubble type players or prospect type players where they're saying, okay, we're putting you all in a game together. Go figure out who wants these spots. And then you've got Berggren, who's always been sort of, is he going to stick around with the Detroit Red Wings? And then I saw JT Compher. And that's when I really started thinking about it. Like, is he there as a veteran, or is there more to this than what meets the eye?
I think there's always one or two veterans. I remember Sider playing a bunch of those games in previous years too. So my best guess, and this isn't based on any intel, but like, I think it's a little bit of the veteran thing, but also like, he's a guy that they need to get going. So
he needs to find a spark.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing.
You're playing a ton. You're certainly not going to get games off like Larkin and Raymond may.
We talked last episode about it's not the how, it's the where. And, saw the lineups from practice again this morning. We saw how they've played the red and white game. We've seen now a preseason game and all of training camp. Larkin, Raymond, and Guy, which has been Finnie.
And it was Finnie today at practice.
Yeah. And then second line, they have not broken up. DeBrincat, Kane, Casper. Third line, Rasmussen, Kopp, Appleton. They have not touched that. JT Compher right now is at best a fourth liner on this team. They're not considering him for that top line role, and they very clearly are not breaking up that second and third line. Like, McLellan seems pretty bullish on this is how he wants to at least start the season until it goes off the rails. But if it doesn't, this is the lineup. So you've got probably, realistically, Soderblom and JVR and Finnie, as we have seen and will likely see, are probably the guys fighting to bump up to the first line. So you can take one of those guys out of the equation. Now you have the other one, Compher, Berggren, and a bunch of rookies fighting for the fourth line role. Like, again, I would probably write in pen JT Compher's on the opening night lineup. But you can also write in pen it's not going to be above the fourth line for a $5+ million player who's still got multiple years left. That's a real issue. And again, one preseason game, lots of time to change. Finnie looked great. Danielson looked great. MBN looked great. And I don't think anybody who knows anything about hockey who watched that game would be uncomfortable putting any one of them on that last line and taking him off of it. Again, that's not what's going to happen, but it's a problem that conversation can be made.
Yeah. If this was just, like, if we were talking about this after the first year of JT Compher and he had a rough camp and a rough first game in the preseason, we wouldn't even give airtime to this. But last year was bad. Like, last year was such a drop off from his first year.
And in a league where the cap is going up by billions of dollars and the Red Wings are probably getting near that point of desperation is probably too strong a word, but they need to acquire superstar talent. If you are going to be the team that throws $14 million at Kyle Connor, this is one way to knock off $5 million of that.
I so hope the Red Wings are the team that's tampering with Kaprizov.
You imagine?
God, nothing would make me happier than to know that they are the team. Hey, Red Wings have a history with luring Russian players over through means that the team he's coming from would deem untoward or unsavory. Sure, the context is a bit different, but this is the modern version of the Russian Five. It's just
Kaprizov might be a little tougher. I think Connor's probably the better bet just because, when Compher's in town and let's say he goes to a Michigan football game and the band starts playing a song called Come Home Kyle out of nowhere. Like random coincidences sometimes occur.
just tamper with either. Tamper with either. I don't care. Just tamper.
Lose the first round pick. It's worth it.
Was that on an overtime or a main episode recently where I was like, start tampering? Everyone's doing. I want you to tamper as hard as possible.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah. The last point here before we go to break, and you've already touched on it, Brad, Finnie's actual chances. Now, I think to re-stipulate everything, it's been one preseason game. There are things that you might deem fair or unfair at play, like it's not likely that you're going to push out JT Compher with his amount of money and term left. Like they don't want to put that much money down in the AHL. And as Evan raised, there's players who are further along in their development path and have already done the development cycle in Grand Rapids, like Nate Danielson, who, if he is pretty close to Finnie in terms of performance, but not better, but close enough, he will probably get the nod. All that you have to take into account. And that's why Brad correctly, I think, said it's still a long shot, but it's a shot. And I think that's more than what we thought it could ever possibly be 2 weeks ago. And it's more than we thought it could be before last night's puck drop, really. But I think there's a chance that you see a Soderblom type situation here where he comes out and he cracks the roster for at least a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he has to be up all year because, if the wall hits, the wall hits. And then you send him down to go get right. You bring, maybe at the time, Danielson's on a heater and you bring him up or MBN because again, in the background of all these decisions the Red Wings have to make is the fact, good problem to have, but a problem nonetheless, where they've got 4 to 6 prospects who are like right on the cusp of making this team within the next year to year and a half. You can't bring them up all at once. And that's why the Compher conversation is fascinating to me, because if you can find room for a Finnie and a Danielson, well, then that makes next season a little easier when you're bringing up an MBN and an ASP, and then the year after that, you're bringing up a Carter Bear and a whoever they take this year. Like,
yeah,
it's relevant in the sense that none of these guys have disappointed to the point where we're saying, I don't think they're going to play in the NHL. They've all done well. We're all sitting here going, these guys are probably going to be regulars in the NHL sooner than later, but eventually they have to get to the NHL.
And this is an opening night roster conversation, right? Like injuries will happen, and like Marco Kasper, an injury occurred, he came up, he never went back. So there's always a likelihood of that as well. I have this feeling that it's going to be none of them, and they're going to move JVR up on the left wing with Larkin and Raymond. Maybe a guy like Carter Mazur jumps in there because I'm sure that they really want to progress him forward. And if they can let Danielson, Finnie, MBN just run amok in the AHL and really build up their confidence there, that might be best case scenario for the long-term health of the organization.
Yeah, if it's like whoever's up is a 13th forward kind of thing, I would rather that be Mazur than Finnie at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure how thrilled I am if it's Emmitt Finnie on the fourth line playing 11, 12 minutes a game,
No, that's good enough for me. For Finnie? Yeah, why not?
Well, I'd rather him be on the top line in Grand Rapids just going ham.
That's fair. Actually, no, that's a really good point.
Well, the undercurrent to this all, too, is, yes, the development and the long term is still the most important thing for this organization, but this is also a team that, whether they'll admit it publicly or not, pressure's on to make the playoffs this year. And if you looked at The Athletic released their Red Wings season preview today, and they gave the Red Wings a 24% chance to make the playoffs.
That's higher than I would put.
But they got to make roster decisions based on, okay, who's going to get us there? And if they are watching this and they're going, yeah, Emmitt Finnie is definitely playing better than Soderblom, Berggren, Compher, pick whoever you want. I don't think McLellan's going to have it in him to go, he's got to go to the minors for his development. He'll say, no, I want to win now.
And if Yzerman and McLellan came out and they're like, we had Emmitt Finnie or Carter Mazur, whoever, we think they are better for the Detroit Red Wings right now. That's why JT Compher is our 13th forward, or somebody got moved to the AHL. I don't think fans would care at all.
No.
No, I'm well past the point of giving a crap who's in and who's out. All I give a crap with the young guys is that they're playing at this point. I don't care where. 12 nights in Detroit for Emmitt Finnie or 20 in Grand Rapids. Great. The only thing I don't want to see is, a Nate Danielson makes the team and he's the 13th forward and he's playing every third game. Like that's the only thing I want to avoid.
I will say we haven't really seen that a lot, if at all, since Yzerman came in.
No, we haven't.
And it's definitely not McLellan's style. So it's not a concern of mine that, and we've seen Yzerman is willing to make tough roster decisions within reason. Like buying out JT Compher is insane at this point. There's no point to that. You may as well wait.
He's got 2 years left or 3?
3 years left at 5.1.
You got to trade that before that tanks would be the solution, but that's probably not likely.
They've tried. And, there's some trade protection in there, which complicates things.
The nice thing, at least with the huge salary cap rise, is that could be one where you're like, well, we only get $1 million of savings if we send them to the minors, but it's something, and the cap's going up so much that $4 million we're eating doesn't really completely sewer us.
Yeah. I think they're willing to make those choices. Like if someone is kicking down the door, well and truly making it so, yeah, if we send this guy down, it's a mistake and it makes this team worse. They're not they have lived up to what they've said, Yzerman and whoever his coach is, which is whoever earns a spot gets a spot. I found that to be the case almost universally with this regime.
Now there is the tie goes to the vet. That's why we always use the phrase, you got to kick the door down.
You got to win. It's like the Ryder Cup. You got to win if you want to take the trophy.
Yeah, the rule of 10%. If you're not at least 10% better, you're not getting the spot.
Oh, so
to be, but
we're gonna have 4 rookies on the team.
But again, we haven't seen was Finnie, MBN, or Danielson 10% better than Berggren last night? Probably not. They were better, I would argue, but we're talking in the margins. Were they 10% better than Austin Watson and JT Compher? Yes, they were.
Yeah, but nobody's expecting Watson. No one's
leave that in.
It stays.
I don't know where the S went. I like to buy a consonant. What the was I gonna say? I don't know. Oh yeah. Well, no one's expecting Austin Watson to be out there toe dragging power play between the legs passes for an automatic goal. He's a very niche role, a niche player in this organization.
Yeah.
If they decide not to put any rookies on the roster, he's probably the 13th forward, right?
Yes.
It stands to reason.
Yeah.
But they love him so much in GR for a culture thing too. And he produced in Grand Rapids. I don't know.
That's the thing.
It's difficult.
Detroit could use a culture boost too, so I don't actually hate that argument for him to stay as the 13th forward.
All right. We are going to wrap this up, take a quick break, and when we're back, we're going to jump into our Pacific Division preview. But first, a word from our sponsors. Back after this. With hockey season finally back, everyone's schedule suddenly feels packed. Games on most nights, long days at work, and barely enough time to think about meals. That's where Tempo has been a lifesaver for us. Instead of grabbing fast food or skipping dinner altogether to record, we can have fresh, high-protein meals ready in 3 minutes flat. We've tried a few that absolutely hit the spot. The Southwest Barbecue Brisket had that smoky, stick-to-your-ribs flavor, and the Salsa Verde Fiesta meatballs were bold, filling, and really felt like something straight out of our favorite sit-down spot and not our microwave. Tempo rotates over 20 options every week, so there's always something new to try. Everything's portioned properly, nutrient-rich, and made with real ingredients that you can actually recognize. No mystery, no compromise, just food that fits around your life so you're fueled up before puck drop or after a late one. For a limited time, Tempo is offering our listeners 60% off your first box. Go to tempomeals.com/wingedwheel. That's tempomeals.com/wingedwheel for 60% off your first box. tempomeals.com/wingedwheel. Rules and restrictions may apply. New team merch is cool, but you should get it because you like it, not because you're trying to cover up thinning hair. What you actually need is a plan to deal with hair loss directly. That's where Hims comes in. They provide access to personalized treatments that use proven ingredients designed to slow down hair loss and promote regrowth in as little as 3 to 6 months. Whether that's chewables, oral meds, sprays, or serums. You fill out an online intake form, a licensed medical provider reviews your information, and if you're prescribed, your treatment ships right to your door. No waiting rooms, no hoops, just straightforward care. The whole thing is 100% online, so it fits whatever your schedule may be. If you're Brad and it's insane, it still works. With no hidden fees, you know exactly what you're getting. Hims has already helped hundreds of thousands of guys take action on hair loss and get some confidence back. Think of it like finally getting a solid top line instead of just patching holes from your depth. For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/wingedwheel. That's hims.com/wingedwheel for your free online visit. hims.com/wingedwheel. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. ExpressVPN is like tinted windows for your internet connection. You can see out, but they can't see in. That's how I want my browsing to feel when I'm at home, on hotel Wi-Fi, or bouncing between rinks and airports. A VPN matters because your connection isn't as private as you'd hope. ExpressVPN routes 100% of your traffic through secure, encrypted servers, so what you do online stays your business. It's also built to be used in real life. Open the app and hit one button, and you're protected. It works across all your devices, phone, laptop, tablet, whatever. So you're covered wherever you go, and it's rated #1 by top tech reviewers like CNET and The Verge, so you know it's legit. Our use case? Hockey, of course. When a game isn't available in our region, which is something we can all relate to, we simply use ExpressVPN to connect securely and watch. It allows us to access feeds from all over the world, and it protects us from those sketchy streaming sites that love to serve malware with their free feeds. When it comes to which VPN is the best to use, we cannot recommend ExpressVPN enough. We've had a phenomenal experience with them. Protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/wingedwheel. That's expressvpn.com/wingedwheel to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months free. expressvpn.com/wingedwheel. I should have just used what you said. Let's get specific about the Pacific. Pacific Division Preview. Division previews have started. That means the offseason is officially over. We're recording midweek. What am I saying? That now we're however many minutes into recording. The offseason is officially over. Our first division preview of the 2025-2026 season is the Pacific. As far away as possible from Detroit, we are going to obviously save the best for last. But let's start with this. We are going to go team by team. And at the end, we'll give you some off-the-cuff predicted rankings, and we'll see exactly how wrong we are. We'll do in reverse order of standings last year, I feel is an okay way to do it. And so with that, we are going to obviously start with the San Jose Sharks. What do you see for San Jose this year? A step forward, kind of like a Montreal kind of thing, or is the suck still too intense?
I foresee chaos. 2 steps forward, 5 back, 6 forward, 4 back. I couldn't tell you 3 defensemen on that team off the top of my head without looking it up. I think John Klingberg signed there, which will...
Dmitry Orlov.
Yeah, this sounds like a...
Nick Leddy.
Sounds like a stable, steady defense. But then they have, the absolute stable of forward prospects that are there and coming up. Celebrini, Will Smith, etc. Tyler Toffoli had a good year last year. I think they're at that stage where they're going to be elevated to entertaining and people are going to tune into Sharks games. I know when the Western times hit and I'm just, laying down, getting ready for bed, whatever, and I throw a game on in the background, I'm probably actually going to pick San Jose a lot of the time this year.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be a fun team to watch, but I still think the hurt is going to be real for them this year.
Fun with no pressure is how I would describe the San Jose Sharks. They're playing with house money right now. They knew McLellan Celebrini would be a solid part of the franchise going forward. I don't think anybody expected McLellan Celebrini to pull off the season that he did last year. Now we're talking about franchise level centerman, wise beyond his years. This team is going to be fun to watch. And then they've got just a tidal wave of top prospects coming, whether it's this year or the next or the year after. So for now, I'm a San Jose fan. I don't really care because we're just having a good time watching the young kids start to grasp onto this league.
We're just going to skim past Evan referencing sharks riding a tidal wave.
It's actually tornado. It's a sharknado.
Without looking it up, who can tell me the San Jose Sharks goal differential for last season over 82 games?
Was it minus 3 digits?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I was going to say 124.
It's negative 105.
Oh my God.
On average, they lost every NHL game they played in that regular season by more than a goal. On average. And they won 20 games.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, they've upgraded a net, right? Like they've got Askarov now. They brought into Delkovich. Like, wasn't Georgiev one of their goalies last year? And he's
for
just
a period
horrific.
It's like Island of Misfit Toys over there.
It is. You know, they're
Jeff Skinner.
You're not wrong though. Like you're in the lowest part of the rebuild, and I'm sorry to Red Wings fans, but
they actually have some nice pieces.
They have Celebrini, they have Smith. You know, Celebrini could be the next Crosby if there is one in the league. Like he is that good.
Maybe Sam Dickinson makes the jump. That could be a defenseman we might be aware of on San Jose. Like they just drafted Michael Misa. They're so bad. Maybe he makes the team. Doubtful, but crazier things have happened.
Yeah, like 7th round picks.
Yeah, like they're young, exciting, and they know they've got an abundance of talent coming their way.
Seattle Kraken. Is there any?
What? Can you just inverse what I just said?
Except they're also going to be bad. Like the most directionless team in the NHL. All going back to their expansion draft that made no sense, and now they just keep signing mediocre players for an unholy amount of money. Like, Ryan, tell me, is Ryan Lindgren fixing all of Seattle's problems?
They kind of need him to.
Well, I got some bad news for
but I can actually see their D-core being very, very competent. Like, Montour, rebounding.
Competent, that is ringing praise.
More than we can say.
I'd pay for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd pay all of... Well, you're both dads. Am I the only one? Do we have to switch the jokes to who has money in their wallet to me? Because that's certainly not
might
true.
Be.
Well, I'll use all of the money in Evan's wallet that he still has to pay for a competent defense. Like Montour, Dunn, Larson, Lindgren, you can do worse. But you're right. Like
who's the goaltender behind those?
Decord.
And?
Philip Grubauer, who's bad.
Who's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Joey Decord's their starter now. They've...
Grubauer's bad, but, they'll just ride Decord the way they have for the last 2 seasons. But you're not wrong, Brad. It seems like they were working to something conniving with their expansion draft. They're like, okay, we couldn't reproduce the Vegas draft where they just ripped off everyone. Everyone's a little wiser, and it just never came together. And they, of their own doing, put themselves in a weird, mushy middle. And a lot of the contracts that have been signed have been weird. Like the Chandler Stevenson one comes to mind. And yeah, Matty Beniers is nice, obviously. But there aren't a lot of rays of sunshine like you kind of get with the Sharks. So yeah, the Seattle doesn't inspire confidence, I don't think.
Is Matty Beniers going to take the next step? Chandler Stevenson had a horrible season last year. Is Shane Wright ever going to prove to be...
He had a good year.
I think Shane Wright's absolutely a guy. Is he like Celebrini? No. But I think he's a legit guy.
They're actually really solid up the middle with Beniers and Wright long term. And, say what you want about Stevenson, but he's at least competent bottom 6. I don't know how much McCann moonlights at center anymore, but like they're not in a bad spot there. It's just everything else around them.
I see them being like they might flirt with the wild card.
No.
They might flirt with the wild card if they get an unreal season of goaltending kind of thing, but they could also be a like high 70s, low 80s team very, very easily.
But even if they get unreal goaltending, where are the goals coming from?
They've never had any. I told you guys this before we started. In Seattle Kraken history, they've never had anyone eclipse 70 points.
Like, even if Beniers and Wright pop off this year and McCann keeps doing his thing, that's not a lot.
they're gonna have to sell, but they don't want. They as an organization want to win.
What's their direction, right? Like that's what you've got to establish. And I would imagine, like Seattle's weird because it's a great place to live. They've got great fans. They've got great ownership,
And no taxes.
and they just haven't been able to really pick a direction from literally day zero.
I think they picked the direction of we want to win, and they just did an exceptionally poor job of it.
And I felt like the management ethos of like the people they brought in was counter to the kind of way they went about the expansion draft. And this is from like a surface level view. Obviously, like these aren't extremely, granular insights because we haven't been following them 365 days a year, but it just kind of from the outside, that's what it looks like. All right, let's move on. The Anaheim Ducks, talk about a team that is going to be interesting because, I mean, as of right now, Mason McTavish is still not even in the state of California, if I believe. He's in Ottawa practicing.
He's skating with the 67s.
Yeah. Anaheim could be a interesting team because they have a lot of young talent, but they could also be a team that is in some trouble here if they don't figure this out.
I'd call it equally likely Anaheim finishes 7th in division as it is they do 3rd. The range of outcomes here is wide.
I don't think I can give them 3rd. I maybe like 5.
One, them getting 3rd, and we'll talk about it in a bit, is not necessarily me having faith in Anaheim. It's a direct shot at how bad this division is. But like, I just don't know what to make them because they're at that stage where they're very, very young. They got the goalie of the future. They got a lot of nice pieces. But if McTavish doesn't report till like November, if some of these guys don't take steps, like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence in them. I think they're going to be bad, but I genuinely don't know how this is going to go.
They have a few pieces that are inspiring to me. Obviously, Dostal. I think adding Granlund and Kreider is not insignificant. And if they get McTavish sorted sooner here so he can get in and shake off the rust and get up to game shape. And like or hate it, Joel Quenneville is unless it's gone away, he's a great NHL coach. I know there's baggage there, but just in terms of what he can do to bring a group together, I could see this team making some noise up the middle of the division, including what Brad said. It's a weird division with not a lot of competition down the order. So, yeah, they could surprise.
I don't hate Anaheim. I think they've got a lot of promise, a lot of excitement, and they got a pretty heavy back end with some solid, some solid talent back there.
Is this a baseball podcast? We're talking about Cal Raleigh here.
Oh man, that gif lives in infamy.
Like they got Trouba and Gudas back there who will quite literally murder some guys some games, and then they've got skill guys like Olin Zellweger back there who can move the puck, contribute, and produce. Like I think this team could be a lot better, and obviously they brought in, like you said, Michael Granlund, Chris Kreider for some veteran production. And they just need some of the young guys to take a step. I think Leo Carlson could be a star in this league. I think Mason McTavish, if they can get that contract sorted out, is exactly the type of piece you need to build the team around. Like they could be really, really good. It's just, time will tell, I suppose. But yeah, I don't think they're a bottom feeder in this division.
Remember when Radko Gudas body checked Klim Kostin off of the Detroit Red Wings?
But that's okay. Lucas Raymond got revenge?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did. Okay.
Or was that Casper? Doesn't matter. Vengeance was had.
The Vancouver Canucks, what may soon be known as the former home of Quinn Hughes. Sorry, Canucks fans, but I'm kind of not because it's funny. Are the Canucks going to do enough this year to keep Quinn Hughes around? Or is that going to start to be the beginning of the end? Where do you see the Canucks going? Because it's not really been smooth sailing, to put it lightly.
Where are the Canucks going? I don't know what's going to happen with them and Quinn Hughes, but I can tell you as a team, they're not going anywhere. Like, they don't have JT Miller this year. Who knows what you're going to get out of expensive Pettersson? The stable of prospects coming up is not great. Maybe Willander gets on the team this year and makes some noise. Who knows what they're getting out of Thatcher Demko? They just paid him $8.5 a year for 3 years, but is he healthy? Is he going to be able to play? Lankinen's a good, albeit expensive backup. Vancouver, to me, seems to be that team that has absolutely struck that chord of just getting stuck in the mushy middle. There's not nearly enough firepower on this team for them to have any better hope than maybe squeaking into the playoffs. But there's also a bottom end where not necessarily a lottery team, but maybe not far off.
I think I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm higher on the Canucks than you are. I think their boom is like 100-point team.
Yeah, but how much has to go right for that to happen?
Healthy.
Thatcher Demko has to be a Vezina caliber goalie, and
which he is when he's healthy.
Expensive Pettersson needs to be expensive good Pettersson.
And then they got to find somewhere to make up the points that they lost from JT Miller. Then
just give his ice hand to Pius Suter.
Brock Besser has to somehow repeat the performance he had last year. Like,
he just has to stay healthy.
No, but here's the thing. Like, we've done this for years and years and years where the Red Wings, where we go, if all these things happen, we're great. And they never all happen. You always get some of them, but you never get all of them. And that's how I look at the Canucks. It's like, yeah, I see the path to them being a really good team. There's way too many ifs for that to happen. That's not how hockey works. You never bat 1,000.
Now I'm self-conscious about how I'm starting my next sentence. If Elias Pettersson starts the season and you pick either direction, I think that is how the Vancouver Canucks are destined to be. Because if he's the Elias Pettersson that he theoretically could be, and we've seen for limited times in the past, I think that team has so much superstar talent that they won't be a perfect team, but they will have more than enough talent to be able to dunk on most of the rest of the Pacific. If he continues to just be expensive Pettersson in the butt end of our jokes and Evan's joy, then I think that it's going to be like, that's a team that's affected by the drama, the Canadian market hysteria. They're just insane about it over there. And they always say something like, we're going to quiet things down. We're going to, just ignore all that. It's all lip service. They legitimately cannot. You are in a Toronto level hysteria market. If Pettersson is bad, that story is going to go. And now it has the Quinn Hughes amplifier. And he's not been coy about the fact that he's not going to stay if he doesn't feel like he can win here, because he wants to probably go play with his brothers. And what we really know he wants is he just wants to go play for the Red Wings and just be closer to where his brothers play.
Wants to fulfill our what if. If we had drafted Quinn Hughes, where would the Red Wings be?
Obviously, he's an avid listener, right?
Yes.
So I think the only thing that saves them, whether it's technically true in terms of who has the most impact on the ice, is Pettersson and how he comes out. Because Demko, has the most impact on how this team can win or lose games. But Pettersson is the vibe decider. Like, he moves the vibe needle for this team. And we know in the NHL, this is a vibes league. This is a vibes sport. And the vibes in Vancouver have been bad. And he's been at the forefront of that.
I mean, if your goalie is stealing you games, like, it's hard to not be confident, right? Like, that guy is going to give up a goal or two a game at the absolute most. It's much easier to go out there and think you're going to win.
And then you have Pettersson. What do you think, Evan? Do you think he's going to return to form?
No.
You couldn't even have given a dramatic pause?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he was bullied hard enough.
What about Elias Pettersson?
Defensive one? He'll be great.
Yeah.
What about other Pettersson?
Time will tell.
The Calgary Flames.
Speaking about being propped up by your goalie, let's talk about the Calgary Flames.
Dustin Wolf gets his payday. They got him on a long-term contract. And are they going to be able to make it work with the hopes of past Kadri, Huberdeau, etc., or are they also trending downwards?
Man, so Kadri was great last year, but he's old. Huberdeau is not worth the contract, but he wasn't bad last year. Like, if you take the dollar equation out of it, he was still a productive player. Both of them are well on the wrong side of 30, though, so you can't imagine they're getting better. Same goes for Mackenzie Weegar and Michael Backlund. They got some nice younger pieces coming up. Obviously, Matt Coronado got the contract, had a good year.
Connor Zary was nice last year.
Yeah, they've got some, but none of those guys are like superstar level players. Like they're not needle movers. You get enough of them, you can have a good team, but that's the problem. I don't think Calgary has enough of them.
Do they think Zane Parekh will make the team this year? Because he played last year, I think like one game or something.
Most people I've heard talk about it are forecasting him on the team.
So that's a good piece to add. But yeah, like their season they had Anthony Mantha, who was projected to be like the belle of the ball at the trade deadline and got hurt. But Dustin Wolf like pushed that team to being almost a playoff lock.
Can you count on that 2 seasons in a row from a goalie? Maybe if he's truly special, but even really good goalies, they don't do it year in, year out, right? Like it's just tough to do that in the NHL. I don't know. I think Calgary has the makings to be a team where if everything comes together, they might not be that bad, but I think their floor is pretty low. I think their floor is lower than people give it.
Certainly a team that's bound for maybe some regression.
Like last year, they were one of, if not the team that overperformed everybody's expectations the most, and they still missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Moving forward, let's go to the Edmonton Oilers, who are this.
No drama there.
No. I mean, you guys talked about it while I was away, but this season, like if you thought the Quinn Hughes thing, I can't believe you're getting 2 of these storylines in one division in one season. Like, will this team be good enough to keep their superstar franchise and or generational talent? And they have that at hand with Connor McDavid. And there's different levels, right? They could be good enough where he's like, yeah, I think we'll be good, but only for the next 2 years, so I'm signing for 2 years. Or we suck so much and I'm so pissed that nothing's changing and we still haven't gotten us a goalie that I'm out. What's Edmonton going to do?
Do you believe that the contract year bump is real for players?
Is there more to Connor McDavid?
I'm just trying to figure out if the Oilers are going 82-0 or like 81-0-1.
Did I see you correctly that he said something about like I want to just score more?
He did that once before and scored over 60 that year, and then the next year went, I'm going to go put up 100 assists.
That's Crosby. Like Crosby did that once. Crosby's like, I feel like I can score more, and that year he just went out and just put the puck in the net automatically.
The Edmonton Oilers will go exactly as far as Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl will take them.
So the Cup Finals.
They're winning the Stanley Cup in a Connor McDavid contract year if he doesn't extend ahead of time. Really, it's the monkey paw curling for the Oilers fans. If McDavid signs, they're going to lose in the finals. If he doesn't, you may lose him at the end of the year, but you get your cup.
Here's the thing, like the regular season for this team, it doesn't matter. They're going to finish 1 through 3, most likely. They're going to be in the playoffs, barring something tragic happening. They're going to load manage like they have in the past to make sure that they have the gas for the finals.
They're playing LA in the first round anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like for them, we're talking about playoffs, and you still have Stuart Skinner, Calvin Pickard, and net. How are you going to do this again without changing anything? You don't have the decor to make that work. You don't. You simply don't. Like Darnell Nurse is not worth the money. And yes, like if you take the contract away, is he good enough to be getting the minutes he is? I actually still don't think so. I really don't. He's still an NHL player, but like Evan Bouchard, fantastic defenseman, right? Does he add the defensive aspects to the defense that they're missing to cover the holes on the rest of the defense? Ekholm went down injured last playoffs, and you saw how much it hurt that team. And when he came back, he still wasn't great. He was obviously still playing hurt. Like, I just see a team who still hasn't addressed what they needed to.
The Edmonton Oilers have nothing to do with the players on the ice and what's going to happen. That team is all about asset management and the unwillingness to make uncomfortable moves when you have 2 of the best players in the world. The answer for Edmonton is so mind-bogglingly easy, but they just refused to go out there and make a big move. Like, they could go and get a top 10 goalie in the league any day of the week, but they just refused to do it.
There's no reason John Gibson should be a Detroit Red Wing right now.
No. Whatever Detroit offered, they should have doubled. I feel almost bad for Edmonton fans, Alberta residents, because of how poorly
half of them will take offense to what you just said.
Poorly managed Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl's tenure has been with that team.
So what do they give up for Elias Sorokin at the deadline?
And if ever anything, literally anything.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Like
If you think that there's any chance that Connor McDavid will not re-sign with your organization, you have to do whatever you can to make that erase that doubt.
Because there's not like
if he comes into this room and says we need Ilya Sorokin, I say don't worry about it. It'll be done by the end of this week.
You call the Red Wings and you say, "Hey, how'd you do that Russian 5 thing? We also need to steal a Russian."
Yes.
Like if you lose McDavid, there's no, you trade him at the deadline. You
don't do that.
If you do that, you're going to be fighting for your franchise's life after that. Like you absolutely, Evan's right. You have to do whatever you can to keep him here and win as soon as possible. You know what screwed them is the Holland Wright era of drafting, because they don't even have the futures to give up for the players that they need to go get. They're screwed.
They did, I don't think they got better in the offseason, and they didn't address the biggest needs that they had. And that is a very damning thing to do when you have the best player who ever play hockey in a contract year. Like it's insane to me.
There's no reason they should have gotten themselves to this point. All right. The LA Kings.
Speaking of
Ken Holland.
Speaking of insanity.
The LA Kings, who let go of Gavrikov and then brought in for the money Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin. Oh, man. I don't.
What's bad about that?
See, like, it does not matter how far away he gets from Detroit. I still end up constantly criticizing Ken Holland on this podcast. But okay, they wanted to move on at GM. Fine. You bring in Ken Holland and you're just like, why? And he brings Tyler Wright with him and then immediately goes and makes those moves. The contract that Gavrikov actually ended up signing for was, in this cap market, entirely reasonable in my mind.
We're going to find out if Gavrikov really is the defensive player he's touted to be.
Yeah, but also with the cap going up.
Well, it has nothing to do with the cap. I'm talking about player talent specifically.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe not. But you know who I think won't be productive for their money is the combination of Ceci and Dumoulin. And I like Dumoulin. I have no problem with him. But man, relatively speaking.
Did you see the Jay Fresh thing today about the top 30 defensemen in the NHL? And as like a sort of tutorial on how to read this, he used Cody Ceci. Oh. And so it was the first name if you were a list guy and you just wanted to see a list, the first name you saw was Cody Ceci.
Maybe that's how Ken signed him.
Yeah, maybe.
He got a sneak preview and went, oh.
The Kings are still an extremely talented team, and I think by all rights they should be a divisional seed. But
Kopitar farewell tour should give him a boost. You should
give him a boost.
Think.
But I
Quinn
think
Byfield take another step. Brent Clark, what has he really got? Adrian Kempe refuses to not score 30-plus goals every year. They're still a good team. I think they're just a little older, a little slower.
Are we sold on Compher? I know he had a great year last year.
Some years, yes. Some years, no.
Because that could go a long way, too. Because if you don't have Gavrikov anymore, that's going to be more of a load on your goalie. And if he doesn't repeat the huge year he had last year, that could be a pretty big swing in the goals against department.
Yeah. They're fortunate that their division shouldn't be too competitive. Like, they have some margin to play with there. All right. Last but not least here, the Vegas Golden Knights. They added Mitch Marner. They lost Alex Pietrangelo probably for the rest of his career, it seems like. But where do you think they end up? Or before we do the rankings, what's your read on them?
They're going to be good.
Yeah.
Call me crazy. I feel like they're going to be a really good team. I feel like they're going to score a lot of goals. I feel like even without Pietrangelo, their defense is still pretty good. You know, Aiden Hill's nothing special in net, but he's steady Eddie. He'll do what they need him to do. And I think they've even been connected to Carter Hart, so do with that information whatever you will. Yeah, I mean, this is probably the only team in the division that doesn't have at least one gigantic question mark in a significant part of their roster. You can nitpick in the margins for sure. Is their depth scoring all that good? Without Pietrangelo, is their D truly as like elite as it has been? Is Aiden Hill truly a starter? But that's all like in the margins, right? Like, So I don't know. It's hard to not like them.
All right. In whatever order you want, what are your predicted Pacific Division standings?
Whatever order I want.
Sorry, no.
So
Vegas, San Jose.
Top to bottom or bottom to top, it's up to you.
That's, for me, this is pretty easy. Vegas, number 1 for me. I've got Edmonton, number 2. LA, number 3. I think nothing changes from last year. Very cool. Thank you, Gary Bettman, for the playoff format that we have. After that,
Well, it went LA, Edmonton last year.
I don't care. I know what I said. After that, it's, we're getting into sort of the vegetable conversation here. It all depends on who wants to take the next step. I think I'm going to put Vancouver there. I'm not totally set on that for my obvious biases. After that, I'll go Anaheim, Calgary, Seattle, San Jose.
All right. So you have Vegas, Edmonton, LA, Vancouver, Anaheim, Calgary, Seattle, San Jose. Wow. You're extremely annoying.
Why? Is that what you have?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Brad, you go ahead.
Hooray, I get to be different. Kind of. 1, 2, 3, Vegas, Edmonton, LA. I don't have any reason to switch that up. I think this division beyond those 3 is atrocious. And I think you could almost, depending how this goes, start to lump LA with that group in the next few years. I think you can pretty comfortably, not comfortably, but I'm going to put Seattle and San Jose in the basement. And then the debate comes in that mushy middle for me. So right now, as it stands, I'm going to go Anaheim, Vancouver, Calgary in that order. So then 1 through 8, I'm going Vegas, Edmonton, LA, Anaheim, Vancouver, Calgary, Seattle, San Jose.
Cool. So me and Evan have identical lists, and yours just switches Vancouver and Anaheim in the middle.
This division sucks.
That's how you know this division is going to be upside down this year, because we are never, when we're all confident about it, it's never right. So you're going to have Anaheim in a
If you told me Seattle finished ahead of Calgary and Vancouver or Anaheim, I wouldn't be shocked. The only way I'm stunned is if one of those teams jumps up and usurps one of the top 3.
Yeah.
I think you could throw...
I'm doing it. I'm going to switch mine just for the sake of switching it. Vancouver. Expensive Pettersson comes out and has an 85-point season.
You don't even believe that.
No.
Okay.
No, I certainly don't. But it's a free victory lap if I'm right. It's like
it won't bother me at all because I know you don't believe it.
Have you seen the golf sketch comedy thing where it's like the defensive tap in where you have, it's kind of a iffy gimme, but you go in as if it was a gimme with one-handed tap it and misses, and it's kind of makes it awkward. So you're like, oh, well, it's going to be a tap anyways. That's what I'm doing with my opinion right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So I'll go Vegas, Edmonton, Vancouver, then LA, Anaheim, Calgary, Seattle, San Jose, because I'm a man of no conviction.
I do think San Jose is going to tighten the gap between them and the next. Well, I guess we all think Seattle, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little tighter this year, but I think that's about it for this division.
I want to put San Jose higher, but Brad's point from before of defense is you look at that and you're just like, what's actually going to happen on defense there?
And then you got a rookie goalie behind him.
All right, that's our Pacific Division preview. Let us know what you think, where you disagree, where you agree, and how you think Expensive Pettersson will do. Another quick break here, and when we're back, the final segment on this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, back after this.
We're going to overtime.
Overtime is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. If you want to support the show, join the Dub Dub Club and get access to benefits like our bonus overtime episodes. They record right after these main ones. They're a great time. The highlight is Thoughts with Evan, where it just actually usually becomes unhinged. Licking his golf balls was a feature of a previous one. You also get access to all the bonus content we posted over the offseason. You are automatically entered into all of our giveaways. For example, we give away 2 tickets to every Detroit Red Wings home game directly to our Patreon supporters, and you get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord. So again, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. Let's take some questions from our patrons. Aptos Wingnut says, hey guys, big fan of the pod, longtime listener, first time asking a question. Thank you so much for joining the Dub Club and supporting the show. They say, my question is, what is your opinion on the idea that maybe too much AHL time is a possible detriment to a player reaching their ceiling? 2 years ago, Nate Danielson arguably was a top 12 forward at a training camp, and 2 years later, he doesn't seem to have any more flash to the eye test. The AHL seems to be a grind of a league, and I'm just wondering if maybe players get mentally worn out by not dominating in a league that they know isn't the highest level.
It's more a pace thing than anything else. Eventually, once you get accustomed to a certain pace, it's tougher to adapt to a new pace, especially when you're talking about a young player, because you always want that progression, that upslope to be relatively linear, like as much as realistically possible. So not that if someone stays in the AHL too long that they'll plateau and they'll just stay at that level forever, but there is a fine line to walk where too long does start to create some everlasting habits, whereas too quick doesn't allow anybody to develop at the pace they need. So it is a fine line, and every player's different, but it's tough to go too long for someone who's talented enough.
Dallas Drake says, I confess that I'm on the irrationally optimistic side about prospects. So let's assume some combination of Finnie, MBN, Danielson, and Mazur are better than Compher, Rass, and Johnny Berggren. Can the Red Wings move on from these players in trades or waivers, or do you think sweeteners/salary retention would be needed? If so, will that prevent the Red Wings from icing the best team?
None of them have trade value in terms of you're getting a significant return. I think
you can move on from... I think you can get something decent for Rasmussen and something lesser, but not absolutely nothing for Berggren.
I think you could probably get a mid to late for Berggren, and people do. I think you could maybe even get all the way up to like a third or a fourth for Berggren if there's a team that's interested enough. Rasmussen's probably in the same ballpark just because of the contract isn't great.
He's big, though.
Yeah, he's big. That helps. Compher, you would need a sweetener.
Yeah. So at the very least with Compher, that'd be some roadblock there. Rasmussen and Petrie on a 2-0 breakaway says, if McLellan wants Finnie on the team, how much of that is his call versus Yzerman's? Should we expect it to be different from last year when it was Lalonde versus Marco Kasper, who got left off the opening night roster? I know we're all over it since he got called up only a few games later, but he very obviously should have been there opening night.
I think that's probably more McLellan's in a scenario where there's not a huge salary cap implication.
Yeah, Yzerman, again, like what I said earlier, he's always kind of stayed true to if the guy deserves to make the team, he'll be on the team. Now, the Kasper thing was not right away, but essentially he played the full season. Edvinsson, I think my opinion differed from how the team handled it, but that was also an absurdly healthy year of NHL defensemen, and so I get why that was kind of a weird thing. And not that Edvinsson was hurt by that year of development. I do think it helped him, but just with the blinder view of that specific season, I think he was better than some of the very bad defensemen the Red Wings had. Irish wristwatch switch swath says, how far out do you think Shai Buium is from being the 7th best defenseman in the organization? I think it's not crazy to have him rotate into the third pair and push one of Hall or Hamnick to Grand Rapids. Yeah, I think Buium has acquitted himself well enough where he's absolutely in the conversation, for sure.
It's probably the 8th or 9th right now.
At least, I'd say.
So he can't be that far if he's already that close.
When I say expectations are low, I don't mean it as like an indictment on him. It's just that like he's not really a guy who has the Edvinsson levels of hype, for example. But yeah, like his makings of an NHLer are a guy who could potentially make the roster starting from the bottom up, and that's if everything goes well. And it seems to be going well so far. It's not been incredibly flashy, but it's been a very like ordinary development path for a prospect. So like Evan said earlier this episode, there's not, you have to beat out Hamnick and Hall and whoever. Like the challenge isn't insurmountable, but you do have to earn it. I don't think it's crazy. Someone mentioned Rick Caraway says, how good is the 2023 draft class looking? Could this be the best draft class since the early 2000s or later for Detroit? Yeah, maybe. A lot of potential things still. It could fall flat, but it's looking okay so far. Gretzky had it, lost it, says Brad often cites the give a crap factor. One way to improve that is by having 2 to 4 rookies on an NHL squad at a time. Sure, it's risky, but there are at least 2 to 4 bona fide NHL players on the Red Wings that we, in quotes, know are bad, Do you think that there's that much less of a chance of them making the playoffs if they roll with 2 to 4 rookies who might be bad?
I think with this iteration of the Red Wings, 2 would be pushing it. I think it's doable, but I'm a firm believer there needs to be at least 1 for the reasons we talked about before, about like the cycle has to continue of youth infusion and updating the roster and so on and so forth. I would like to. I think 1 is probably what's going to happen. Yeah.
Like, it depends on how far you go with it too, right? Like, if Berggren has a really great preseason for the rest of the preseason, then he's not going to be seen as a fringy guy. But if he kind of peters off and they don't see what they want from him, then he could be in that same tier of how people are considering Compher, contracts aside, of a guy whose spot's being challenged. And it could be even the guys who are like, pick whatever middle of the lineup player, Rasmussen. I don't think this will be the case, but just as an example, if things go really bad, like the Red Wings talent pool in their prospect system is getting so dense that it's starting to affect things higher and higher up the lineup. Like, it's not just the 13th, 12th forward who's being challenged here anymore. Like, you're going to start to see guys further up be challenged, and maybe it's not their roster spot right out of camp, but maybe it's, okay, well, I really want Danielson on this team now, or I want Finnie on this team now, and for the next month, I'm going to try to trade X, Y, or Z. All right. We're going to wrap up this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast and jump into our Patreon exclusive bonus overtime episode. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. To all of our sponsors of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we cannot thank you enough. Again, patreon.com/Winged Wheel Podcast if you want to support the show. And if you want to help us out, but Patreon is not for you, that is totally okay. Wherever you're getting this podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, just hit subscribe, like the podcast, the thumbs up, the heart, the ratings, the reviews. All of that really does help the show. Tell a friend who you think might like to hear about Red Wings hockey. It's a huge boost for us. To our name level supporters on Patreon, we cannot thank you enough. Arjun Shanker, Akefer, THL Champ, Samuel Soderholm, Icon, Glenn Brabham, Rain Dano, Below Average Ball Hockey Goalie, Sea Lion, Darb EQ, Matthew M. Rice, Bingo Bango, Hassam Al-Qassem, Asher Killian, Kaylin Wood, Alex Toger, That's What I Appreciate About You, Derek Enstam, Matt McKay, Jacob Turner, Andy Hardcore, Sam Bankson, Citizen High Five, RA, Aaron Hudson, Admiral Matt S., The Cheesebag Navy, Oh Shoot, Where's Terry, Stephen Ortlieb, Jonathan Miller, Give Blood Fight Probert, DJ Denton, Carl Brutanen-Aluski, Jay Gollum, John Engels, CB55, Connor Scovey, Adam Zuiza, Adam Rose, What? Who? Steve R., Hockeytown Matt, Mr. Kuzi, Chaotic Monkey, Craig Kibble, Yzerman Stan, Clip Clop, Nene, Podgy713, Now I Have to Learn How to Click on a Macintosh, Griffin Cod Creatives, Marty, Jeff Pridemore, Eric Hill, Butts Carlton, Best James Bond, Beer League Legend, Alec, Mark Hernandez, Slim Smitty Cards, Grand Rapids Girly, Anna Sleeman, William, Kip Tira Jr., Chris Black, August, Brian Munn, General Andy Bohanna, The Cheesebag Army, Quaz, Lonnie Zone, Dylan Larkin, Trade Sacrifice, Antonio Gracias, Matt Keeler, Linda Hull, Dub Hoodie Enjoyer, Connor Leighton, As Good As It Gets, Jeremiah Dobo, Josh Yelton, Brad Simmons, Darren Fick, Bex, The Hodag, last name, I'll read the first name this time, Munchma, Commander Ben Barrett of the Cheesebag Space Force, Griffey Boy, JM Rhapsody, Your Second Favorite Patron, Frank Stanley, Rosie Posey, Ophelia, That Other Guy, Angie, Carl, Thames, The Hat 123, Steven, AA Ron, Corey Prida, All Motor No Hands, Gene Sullivan, Roy Mudbutt, Big Cheese, James Pridemore, Upernadian, Drop the Puck, Eric Nance, Ann Stanislavski, Jim, Bellingham Acid Balls, Wings Fan in St. Louis, Scott, Johnny Page, Lucas Raitmond, Evans, Brown Pomeranian, Trent Thorough, Grepsky, Evan Beckner, Return to Jambo, C.E. Hayes, Finnie to the Rafters, Jacob Marsh, Mike Asher, Falkness, 91 in the Rafters, and I'm Still Stranded in Arkansas, Fight Night at the Joe, and Andrew Shaw. Thank you all so very much. We'll see you Sunday.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to visit wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you'll find links to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find ways to support the show, like Patreon, official podcast merchandise, and more. And don't forget to follow us on X at Winged Wheel Pod, at Ryan Hanna, WWP, at Brad Crisco, and at Hockeytown Evan, as well as Winged Wheel Podcast on Instagram.